here from Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Jaime's Picks Frolic. But today we're going to be doing one of my non-betting videos or lives that I like to do as of late. I was going to be doing the Buffalo Sabres exit strategy, but there was something that I just couldn't get off my mind. By the way, Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Picks Frolic, you can see us at 10:30ish Eastern pretty much every night as we run down the games for the next day or series or whatever, and you get to see professional handicappers dissect how they get their bets and all of those sort of things like that, and have a great deal of success to it. So if you ever thought about betting, or if you like betting and you like to see how people can have success at it, Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Picks at 10:30. We have Jonathan Davis, a reporter for the LA Kings, also an incredible handicapper. He does betting shows on Sirius Radio and VSiN, the NHL network. He's very good. Obviously, we call him Statmaster J. And Parlay Dre, one of the best parlay handicappers, betting guys that you will ever find. So check us out on that. But today, I was going to do a Buffalo Sabres exit strategy. I'm also going to be working on an Anaheim Ducks exit strategy, but there was something that I just couldn't get out of my mind going into the Carolina series with the Montreal Canadiens. And I will admit, the only team that I've lost money on this year is the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs. And I'm going to kind of explain why that is, that I just can't seem to find a way to find faith in this team. I'm a person that does like analytics. I look at analytics quite a bit. It's not my whole reasoning for what I do, but I think they're a great tool to establish what a team is like. One of the things I do with analytics is I'll look at them and then I'll watch the game and see what I may be missing with my eye test when I look at players and stuff like that. Took me a while to swallow this because I was an old school guy and didn't believe in all of this stuff like this. I just watched the games is what I used to say. It took me a while to admit it, but guess what? I have bias. I had bias understanding of what I was watching because I love the big hitters. I also had to admit that when I'm watching a game, I'm not watching quite often the whole game. I can get caught in the moment and all of that stuff like that. And analytics have been able to widen my view of what I'm watching when I'm watching what I'm watching. Okay. So Montreal Canadiens playing the Carolina Hurricanes. We just did a video on the series and what we think is going to happen. I had Tampa over Montreal. I'll go back to tell you how I saw each series, and then I'm going to look at why I thought that. Okay, I had Tampa over Montreal. My view was that shutdown line of Cirelli, Gunsel, and Hagel would shut down the top line, force Montreal to have to beat them with their middle lines, and Tampa Bay would have a little more experience, a little more depth. Took them to 7, probably should have won the last game. To me, Tampa Bay looked nervous, which is not what I expected, but I now understand why. I think in my mind why Tampa Bay looked nervous, because I think the guys in that room are starting to realize that the end is near, and they're trying to prove that it's not so they can keep that ball rolling. But when you have Hedman going out, Point hasn't been the same for the last 2 years. Kucherov everybody's getting older. it starts to just creep up in your subconscious and even in your conscious that this could end in any moment, and nobody wants it to end. And I feel the reason why the nerves, why they seem nervous and maybe even anxious, because how I tell if a team is nervous is if they miss the net a lot. That's one thing that tells me that they're nervous, is if they miss the net a lot. And when they do get it on net, it's more right at the goaltender. So when they try to adjust and pick the corners, they miss it by a mile. And when they try to adjust the other way, they shoot right at the goaltender quite a bit. And they don't get as much steam on their shots. There's just not as much confidence in themselves. So it could be a mixture of nerves and maybe some mental realization that they weren't the team they were before, and it puts even more pressure on them. And that's what I saw from the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I thought that line would shut them down, and the lower lines would be able to, like the Kucherov line, for example, would be able to capitalize on shutting down that top line for Montreal. And I wasn't too far off, because that line was shut down. They didn't get many points. But the lower lines compensated and scored, while Tampa Bay's top line didn't. That's really what it came down to. And they got the better goaltending from Dobish. Dobish played better than Vasilevsky, who also looked like he was playing nervous. I didn't see that coming, but there's a reason why I was looking at Tampa Bay, and I'll get into that in a second. So we go into the next series. Again, I have Buffalo. And here again, and I'm going to start mentioning St. Louis here, and I should have mentioned St. Louis in the last one. I think if there was ever a time that a coach, if this team wins a cup or even makes the finals, should get a Conn Smythe, it's this year. St. Louis, to me, has done an incredible job with this roster. And as I go through the roster, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Puckpedia. We're going to go down the roster, and then I'm going to go over to JFresh Analytics. And I'm going to show you the type of roster that St. Louis is working with, and how he has geniusly got the best out of every single player on that roster. So you go to Buffalo, and I just said, on like man for man, Buffalo was the better team. And I've got people commenting here because on my Carolina pick and my Carolina stuff, they say, I don't understand how anybody can take, how all these people are taking Carolina in 5 when Montreal's obviously got the better team. Well, they don't. I'm sorry. Not man for man, they don't. They don't. And against Buffalo, they didn't. Flat out, they didn't have the better man for man team. But here we go again. Buffalo, if you notice, they were missing the net a lot. Also, Buffalo took 2 years to learn this system by Ruff, which is a very solid system. But when that system kind of broke down, they didn't have any fallback plan too much. It was very seldom that they were able to change things up. They looked confused. And I thought Montreal played a lot better in the chaos when things started to go like all over the place. Montreal looked a lot better. Also, Montreal players had way more confidence. When I said that Tampa looked nervous, I didn't really see that from Montreal. I saw a team Montreal team, when you see guys like Newhook and some of their lower guys all of a sudden just start picking corners like that. When they had their opportunities, instead of missing the net like Buffalo was doing or in Tampa Bay was doing, they did like they did in Game 7. That was that shot by Newhook right over the pad, under the glove. That's what you're told to do. Like right from the time you're a hockey player is young, and any goalie will tell you the perfect shot is right about that. It's a little more inside the post than a goaltender shouldn't stop. Like you'd like to see a stop there, but that's the best way to beat a goaltender. My dad used to tell me that if you can ping the post and in with most of your shots all over the ice, you're going to score a lot of goals. Because anytime, and I mean just anywhere on the net, just get it inside the post, wherever you are on the ice, you're going to score a lot of goals, even if you don't have the hardest shot, because those are the spots where goaltenders have the most difficult time getting to. And in order to do that in a game situation in high pressure, there's an energy that comes with that. There's a confidence and calmness. If a player can hit that, most of these players can hit those spots out in practice when they're playing around 80% of the time. But as soon as you add physicality, fatigue, anxiousness, or too high energy, or nervousness to it, all of a sudden that shot that you could hit 80% of the time in practice misses the net, and you shoot too quick, or you flub it, or something like that. So there's an energy, and that energy generally, for the most part, is created by coaches. I can't remember the name, but there was an NFL coach that said that he felt that his job was to get players to be able to do and believe they can do more than they physically should be capable of doing. That's what his job is. And I love that. I can't remember who said it. I've been looking for it for a long time to find out who said that, because that's what that energy is. That's how you get your new hook stretches, where a guy who's never really hit it out of the park in the NHL all of a sudden comes out and looks like a superstar. Remember Pisani back in the day. Quite often, teams that win cups have these players that just bump up. And quite often, they fall back down right after the playoffs, and they go back to whatever they were before, maybe get a little better, but that's it. They seldom take that and keep on going. You watch, people are going to be betting Newhook next year all year, and he probably never gets to what he is right now. One of the reasons is because, which brings me to the roster, and I'll explain why I have been fading Montreal but losing money. Okay? I've been losing money on Montreal, and this is why. Okay. We're going to start off. I'm going to go through just about every player, and I'm going to go to JFresh cards, and you're going to see what these players really are compared to what they're showing in a lot of cases. You have Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield is a very, very good offensive player. Obviously, I don't need to tell anybody. He's got one of those shots that can hit at any time. Hit at any time, all over the ice. He's one of those few players that can just ping. Like, he can do virtually nothing all game, and all of a sudden turn around at a really low chance place in the ice, and turn around and pot it in the corner. Like, he's fantastic that way. And when I talk about this, I'm not trying to shit on any players or anything like that. I'm just trying to show the reality of what it is. Okay, now I'm going to show. All right. So this is Bolduc because I was already going through it, but I'll go to Caulfield here. Cole Caulfield, obviously, even strength offense, 94%. Yeah, he's incredible. He's awesome. This one here where it says competition, that's a very big number. That's a very important number because it talks about deployment against the other team's lines. He's purposely put out against top lines. even at home, to be 100% competition. Like uh, the St. Louis has been using him against top lines all over the place. And there's a reason for that. And that's not something coaches want to do. Coaches generally don't want to take their top offensive players and play them against top lines at home. They want to find them a way to get them to play against lower lines. They want to find matchups. But St. Louis hasn't done that. Why? Is he stupid? No, he's not. Why? We'll see as we go down. Goals, obviously 100%, finishing 97. One of the best shooters, not in just in the league, but one of the best shooters of all time. Here's the bad one, of course, the even strength defense. He definitely floats a lot. There's no doubt about that. He gets caught in the offensive zone a lot. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that he spends a lot of time in the offensive zone. And by the time it starts going the other way, a lot of the time, he's tired. You know, when looking at defensive analytics, there is a story that it's telling. And that story doesn't necessarily mean that it's as bad as it shows. In this case, Montreal would quite often get offensive possession quite a bit. He would play he would play it out till he was tired and either try to get on the ice or not have much time to get back. Now, great players will play in a way that whenever they make their offensive chances, they've always got time to come back. And they just seem to be able to navigate the game like a marathon rather than a sprint. Caufield's just not like that. It's 100 miles an hour all the time until he runs out of steam. Something that something that young players tend to do, and maybe that'll change somewhere, maybe not. But elite player gets caught defensively a lot. Now, that being said, his offense more than makes up for it. Okay? It more than makes up for it. He's not a liability in any way. He's going to score more than his defensive problems cause problems. There's no doubt about that. He's absolutely fantastic that way. Now, we'll go look at Suzuki. This is basically the top line. Nick Suzuki, beast, especially this year. Look at his freaking Eddie. He's probably going to win the Selke this year. Deserves it 100%. No doubt about it. 100%. This year, I mean, he was 50% the last 2 years with defense at 24, 25. There's nothing wrong with that. But this year, he just boomed. And offensively, he's a beast. He's just a beast. Simple as that. And again, used against other teams' top lines a lot. They don't even try to avoid shutdown lines with guys like him and Caulfield. And that did create a problem in Tampa because the shutdown line, when he was up against them, like when he was up against Cirelli and those guys, Cirelli, Gunsel, and Hagel, they didn't do much. But I can't say enough about him. He's an absolute beast, no doubt about that. He deserves great captain. He's going to, Hall of Fame, looking like a Hall of Fame career. There's nothing to take away from that guy. Now, when they put Slafkovsky on the top, and I believe they do that a lot here, I believe that St. Louis does. He has had him down, but I think he's putting him up quite a bit. Just go back to this Slafkovsky. Again, this is more, you're getting more like the Cole Caulfield thing. Now, he's only 21 years old. So when I'm looking at young players, I'm not expecting to see high defensive percentages. When you do see it, it's beautiful because that means it's never going to go up. But what I see here in this line is Suzuki pretty much doing everything in all three zones, especially in the defensive zone, and the other two kind of burning out in the offensive zone and coming back. So Slavkovsky's sort of the sit back guy. He kind of tries to get in the puck as much as possible, realizes they're probably going to burn themselves out, and he's going to have to do most of the work through the other zones. But this doesn't take anything away from what Slavkovsky is going to be. Right now, this is based on a 3-year average. I would say this would be a little higher this year. I think he's improved every year, although not defensively at all. But and I think he might be a little hurt here. But the fact of the matter is, this is a great top line. It's a very good top line. But it's a top line that has its weaknesses. And also Slavkovsky takes horrible penalties too. That's another thing. He does play against top competition. For a 21-year-old to be where he is right now is looking incredibly good for the future. But we're talking about the now. The now, if I have time, I'll go through Carolina's lineup or Buffalo's lineup. Man for man, like if you look at Tuck is a better player than Slavkovsky right now. Tage Thompson is not a better player than Suzuki. And they had Krebs up there. So Caulfield should be able to slam Krebs. No doubt about that. But let's look at the second line. And we'll start out with the Phenom. Ivan Demidov on the right side. This guy is going to be an absolute fucking beast. Like, whatever happens here against Carolina, and I think I know it's likely going to happen, but I said that the last 2 rounds. I'm just more confident this time. Next year, the year after, as this guy grows into whatever grows into what he's going to be, this is going to be I think the best player on the team. No doubt about it. Absolutely. His minutes have been down. St. Louis has done extremely well at playing him against lower competition as he grows into his body and grows as a player. But he has handled it incredibly. So well for a 19-year-old. To have a 70% above replacement defensive game at 19 years old against average competition is, I don't even want to tell you how rare that is. I don't care if it's like lower minutes or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It is freaking rare. You go down the Anaheim, like Carlson and Seneca, they're not even close. Offensively, maybe, but not even. I think this is going to be one of the best players in the world. In 2 years, Ivan Demidov is going to be getting MVP votes. This guy's amazing. But what is he right now? And what is he doing right now? I mean, I understand why they don't put him on the top line, because you got to have some lower line help. But, you got to have some offensive depth. And also, he's doing a really good by not playing against top comp all game and wearing the guy down, young players can get overmatched against top comp. He's allowing him to grow, St. Louis that is, at a really even pace. And this kid is fucking crushing it. Absolutely love him. No doubt about it. Now we go to the second line. And if you're in the comment section, sorry, I can't see you right now. Chat. There we go. Well, I'll get into that comment right here about Freddie will break in a bit, after this is done. But I'm going to keep on going down here as to why I was losing money on Montreal. Okay. Okay, so next we have Newhook up the middle, and this is just a freaking. This is where I'm going to start talking about St. Louis and his brilliance. Okay, Alex Newhook, 24 years old. Um, he's got his. He's always had good finishing skills and a good shot. Always. The thing he's always struggled with is just his overall game. He doesn't really drive offense. He's more of a complimentary guy. He took, a pretty good step up defensively this year, but generally against lower competition. And now he's in the playoffs, and this is where I and not just this, but in every sense of the word, from what I see from St. Louis, this guy just absolutely knows how to talk to his players. And what I was saying before about a coach's job is uh, to get players to do more than they should be capable of doing, and believing that they're better than maybe they actually are in short spurts of time. Okay. And also to assess where your strengths and weaknesses on your roster and with players, and being able to get the best out of their strengths. Okay. So you got Demidov, I just showed you. Already damn good 3-zone defensive player, absolute beast of a winger, pretty much drives that line. What I saw St. Louis do with Newhook is in the first round, Alex Newhook was being Alex Newhook. He was trying to play well defensively, not doing it very well. He was doing the best he can, but not very well. He's trying to be like a full sheet 3-zone player that he's always tried to be, but maybe will never become completely. Like, he's above average third liner. He's not bad. He's still got upside. It's okay. He could be. He's never going to be elite at that, but he could be very good at it. But what St. Louis did is said, look, you got Demi on your line here, okay? You have great offense and you have really good speed. Let's not worry about the defensive side thing so much. What I want you to start doing is, as soon as Demi's got the puck on the stick or the defense has the puck on the stick, you can take that extra risk and start flying the zone. And you can start being more aggressive through the neutral zone the same way. So if you see an opportunity where it might go the other way, give it a shot. I'll trust you on that. And because his speed is going to be able to and part of the reason why he was able to do that is what St. Louis was doing was he was matching him up with with lines that he would be more effective with. So he was keeping him away from the Doan line, Doan, Norris, and when Benson was there, line, guys like that. That's the reason why Ruff switched up his lines, because he wanted to be able to combat a lot of the things that St. Louis was doing by putting more of his 3-zone defensive guys on every line. That's why he tried to do it. But it worked like a fucking charm. First of all, Buffalo didn't see it coming because it totally changed their system. It's also not advisable. St. Louis is willing to go like outside the lines. He's not a by the book guy. He sees an advantage and he says, let's give this a shot. He's not afraid. The guy's got balls. And it worked. I mean, how many times Alex Newhook stepping up in the neutral zone, taking a puck off the stick, which wasn't advisable, because if you missed that, you could be fucked. But he said, let's try it. And I think the reason why St. Louis was doing a lot of these things is he knew that he was actually overmatched roster to roster. So he had to get the best out of every single guy. And it worked. Newhook was flying the zone. So he got into offensive situations faster and quicker. And once he got an opportunity, he was like, you got speed. I want you going towards the net and shooting. And not only that, creating a belief in this guy that you are, I don't know how he came across with him, but if you looked at that guy as the confidence kept on building, like it was fun to watch. Do I think Alex Nowak will be that for his whole career? No, I don't. that type of energy is not something that you can only create an energy that's bigger than your skill level for so long, generally speaking. I can't think of any one player that played above their skill level for the whole career like that. But for periods of time like this in the playoffs, a coach can do that. You saw people are shitting on Knobloch in Edmonton. I shouldn't. He did the same thing with Kapanen 2 years ago or last year in the playoffs. He kind of he brought guys up and down the lineup and used them the best he can. Honestly, Edmonton, the last 2 times when they went to the finals, did not have the greatest depth, and I think Knobloch did a great job getting a lot out of a roster that was overmatched depth-wise against most teams. And I think that's what's happening here. All right, next, let's go to now they have Evans up the middle. Okay. And again, this would be putting Evans here with Newhook gives Newhook even more reason why he can fly the zone. Jake Evans. A below average third liner is what Jake Evans is. He's very good defensively, though. That is his biggest strength. He can do it against average competition. His biggest strength is his defensive game. And we already saw that Demidov already at his young age has a serious mind for that. Here's something interesting that I get a lot of when people are talking. They'll say, I'll talk about a defenseman that's very good 5-on-5 defensively, and they'll say, well, he's not even on the PK or good at PK. That's not uncommon. 5-on-5 defense is way different than PK defense. 5-on-5 defense is what you do all over the ice with a mind towards defense and positioning in all 3 zones. Always putting yourself in a position where you're still going to be able to maintain your defensive position. And the best teams do this. People don't like it. I'll tell you, how many times I've heard people say, I don't like watching Carolina play. Well, Carolina plays in a way that should win you cups eventually. You don't like it, but it's going to win you cups. It's simple as that. He's not great PK. They've got PK guys. They put him on there, but the difference is with PK is more of a forward that could play that simply can block shots and keep lanes. It's an easier skill, but a specialized skill that some people are really good at. But you take that same player that's on the PK, he may be terrible 5-on-5 because he's a guy that's really only good defensively when there's not much to do in the defensive zone, meaning and there's not as many things going on in the defensive zone. And even if he is, he's just a good shot blocker and getting into lanes. However, he doesn't move the puck very well. He's not, once you start getting into 5-on-5 situations, his skill level doesn't allow him to get to his spots in the neutral zone or get back or all kinds of stuff like that. 5-on-5 is way harder, but he's certainly good enough. So what St. Louis did when he created this line is basically said, look, Jake, just play your game. Demidov, if you're in the offensive zone, get it to Newhook. I'm going to get him in the zone before you. Find him. He's got a good shot. We're going to go with that. Knew he's going to be flying the zone more. You guys take care of everything down there. Amazing way to get the best out of a lineup that is really what we're talking about here, a second line that has 2 third liners on it and one phenom, young kid, incredible. Like perfect to what he did here to get the best out of this lineup. Now, if I go through a Buffalo lineup, I'm going to show you, I can show you where man for man, these guys should not be beating them. It should not happen like in a 7-game series, but they completely found a way. Next, we'll go to the third line. And what do we got? Tessier, Dano, and Anderson. Tessier on the third line is like, Tessier is a journeyman, and he's a journeyman for a reason. He's a perimeter guy with a whole ton of skill. He's got, like, eye test wise, you watch him with the stick, he's got moves, but he doesn't like getting in tough situations. He does things his own way. He's not a guy that just, like, if you try to get him to play try to play a man-on-man 3-zone defensive game, forget about it. You'll get so frustrated. He just won't do it. He won't do it, can't do it. I don't know what it is, but he won't. But here's St. Louis. He's got this Alexander Tessier guy who's got tons of skill, but is pretty much a rover on the ice. I would say that's the best way to put it. For the most part, he's somewhat of a glorified fourth liner. He's got a killer shot. He can, if you get him one-on-one with a goaltender, he'll DQ and all of those sort of things like that. He's improved his game a little bit, but he's a very chaotic player. And he's put him down. I don't even really understand this line or how it gets the best of it, to tell you the honest truth. He puts him with Dano. Now, one of the reasons why he put him with Dano is probably one of the smartest players to ever play the game. He's not really what you would call his skill set physically is good, but he gets so much out of it because of his intelligence. He's still a very strong defensive player. He plays against average competition now at 32. He's kind of dropped. Like, he used to be a lot better than he is right now, but he's very intelligent. And I think he just knows how to work with a guy like Tessier. Again, this is another time where they kind of get a guy who's going to float, and they put two guys with him that are going to get him the puck. Dano's upped his game in the playoffs. A lot of these guys have upped the game in the playoffs. But, I mean, this is not a shutdown center anymore in Dano. Tessier is certainly not. I've just gone through the lineup. There's not one shutdown line on this team. Not one. There's not one forward group that you can call a shutdown line in this team. In the modern NHL, that is not a good recipe to have usually. Ever, actually. Ever since Colorado in 2020-21, I think you could go further back than that. There hasn't been a team win a cup without a top 7 at least shutdown line on their team. And this team doesn't have one really at all. It's got these like mixed bag pieces that St. Louis is getting the best at as much as he can, and using in the best situations he possibly can, and bringing an energy to that room where these guys think they are the greatest. Like, they are playing with that level of confidence. Next, we'll go with Josh Anderson. I mean, Josh Anderson's a freaking fourth liner, dude. He's upped his game a little bit this year defensively, probably the best he's ever done in his career. But for the most part, he's a fourth liner, and he's not even a really good fourth liner. I mean, he plays against tougher competition than most fourth liners do. So at that way, I'll say he's actually a good fourth liner, because they do play him against top competition. But Josh Anderson is a guy that, what St. Louis has been doing with them is he's been putting them up and down the lineup in certain situations to match up, because what he's trying to get the best out of with him is if he can get some open space with the puck on his stick, he does have speed. He can beat players. If he can get open space in the neutral zone, and he's kind of played around with them. He's big, he's physical. That's always a benefit in the playoffs, no doubt about that. But his overall game, if Josh Anderson played for the Buffalo Sabres, he'd play on the fourth line. Tampa Bay, fourth line too, probably. Yeah. No way you'd see him up in the third, or, sometimes he has him up on the second. I don't see a spot. If I go through Buffalo's lineup, I don't see a spot like he's better than Green Tree or whatever his name is, Greenway. Down there on the fourth line, that's where he would play. St. Louis using him in second line sometimes, third line, up and down, up and down, up and down. He just tries to find the right spots for the pieces that he has, and it's worked. It's freaking worked. Now, once you get to the fourth line, okay, Zach Balduke, I think, is going to be a very good player down the road. But he's using him on the fourth line right now, and I think that's because the teams he's playing against, if he were just to put like his least effective players on the fourth line, they would get crushed. Zach Balduke is a guy that I believe is going to be a very good third liner as he grows into his game. He's improved every single year, even from his time in St. Louis. He understands the three zone defensive play very well, although he's just getting better at getting against tougher competition. I think eventually he will. But I think he's playing on the fourth line to just kind of keep an advantage down on that fourth line as much as he possibly can. Kirby Dach has had his ups and downs. He didn't have a great year. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that, like, sometimes you look at him and say, "Oh, this guy's going to be a stud," and then other times he's completely invisible. So what do? Put him down on the fourth line where he can use his full energy for lower minutes against lower lines, and they can match up that way. And I think they've matched up well doing that. And then Oliver Kapanen, they're putting Oliver Kapanen down there to try to bring in some offense down on that fourth line. So they can sort of take advantage of other fourth lines and stuff like that. He's just trying to maximize his depth. Then every once in a while, he brings in Brendan Gallagher, which is like this huge boost to the lineup. And right now, Brendan Gallagher, if he plays every night, he just doesn't have it anymore. But if you get him rest and he gets to play with full energy for a game or two, he can sort of be like what the Brendan Gallagher of old. And that's how he's maximizing the talent. I don't even want to show his analytics because it is kind of sad. This guy's played tough minutes his whole life, man. You're not going to find a guy with more heart than Brendan Gallagher. It's absolutely unbelievable. But, I mean, you see what I mean? He plays against lower competition. That was mostly in the regular season. He played against lower competition, lower down the lineup. He can drive offense from that spot. I mean, he used to be just such a stud player, but he's only 33, but he plays like he's 37, 36. But I mean, this is a guy who has never held back when he played. Like, this guy's played a lot. Gallagher has played a lot of tough minutes. When he plays, man, it's balls out, reckless to the body type game. And I think it's starting to wear on him, but he's using him at the perfect times. He's bringing him in at the perfect times. So, like, as a forward group, when you look at that forward group, Fedorov. Sorry, I'll talk a little more before talk to the chat a little bit before I go to the. He reminds you of Fedorov. Yeah, that's a good example. Sure, I could definitely like. He gives me Fedorov vibes, no doubt about it. Uh, yeah, yeah. Actually, that's a really good example. It does remind me of Fedorov. He's amazing. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Demidov there. Yeah, he definitely reminds me of Fedorov. Freddie, okay, let's get to the other thing you said before I go into the defense of Montreal. Freddie is a journeyman. What was his record this year? I'll tell you one thing. One thing about Freddie Anderson. Forget about what he did in the regular season. Forget about it. He's a better goaltender in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. And I will admit, though, that if Montreal is going to do anything against Freddie Anderson, if they're going to do anything against Carolina, it's going to be Freddie Anderson. That's probably the biggest weakness. It's going to be Freddie Anderson. That's probably the biggest weakness on the team, but you got to get to him. And when you have games where you only had 9 shots against Tampa Bay, even though you won that game, there's a lot of games where Montreal seems to struggle producing shots or are playing a style that is more looking for not wasting shots. Against Carolina, you're going to have to stop that. Like what they were doing against Buffalo, because Buffalo plays a similar style as Carolina. They just haven't perfected it. And it's not the same style. It's not the same style. They play a man-on-man defense, a zone neutral zone, and sort of a zone offensive zone. Carolina plays zone in plays man-on-man in all 3 zones. Like, it is physically extremely demanding system, but when done with full energy, with people that know how to play it extremely well and are extremely fit and strong, it is a fucking bitch to beat. I know people have been shitting on Ottawa that they lost in 4 straight. Don't be surprised, dude. Don't be surprised if this is a sweep. That's all I got to tell you. Don't be surprised. It's not about Ottawa's not a bad team, man. If Ottawa would have played Montreal or Buffalo, they could have won it. They could have won it. Like, I would have probably taken Montreal, and I probably would have taken Buffalo, but it wouldn't have been a sweep. They almost, I have no way would I bet a sweep on that. I wouldn't think it'd be a sweep, maybe 6 in the first, something like that. Ottawa is not a bad team. Now, Philly, by the time Philly got to Pittsburgh, they had juiced themselves out. So did Ottawa in a lot of ways because of the whole Allmark situation. They had no goaltending. I mean, if they would have had goaltending throughout the year and that Allmark situation didn't happen, you might have been looking at Ottawa, Montreal in the first round. Like, they would have easily made the playoffs, I believe. And they wouldn't have had to scrape in after the Olympic break, which also I think tired them out a little bit. It does against any team. And Carolina finally, for the first freaking time, Brendy, I'm sure he was watching the show. Positive. He must have heard me. Sit your players down to stretch, for the love of God. I said it for years with him. Like, he would play his players in this huge, physically demanding system, even after they had already secured their spot. He would play all of their players all the way through the season. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And I imagine Brind'Amour, his idea was that you don't take your foot off the gas. He's afraid that if you take your foot off the gas, you're not going to be able to recreate it again. But this year he learned differently. And hopefully he watched Tampa Bay's and Florida's, where those teams rested their players they didn't even care if they won the division. They didn't even care. They rested their players down the stretch. They let other people win the division because rest going into the playoffs and having players heal up their injuries and all that stuff is far more important than getting first in the division. So, anyways, they got first in the division and they did rest their players. And they got all the rest that they have right now. So, your thing about Anderson, I would say that it's probably their weakest link, but you got to get to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's games here where Montreal gets 18 shots tops. So when they get those shots, and how many of them will be high danger shots, I will be blown away if that new hook deal that they got going with Buffalo, they get away with that with Carolina. I will be blown away if they get away with that with Carolina. Carolina will be all over that like stink on shit. Newhook tries to break out like that, they're going to have a defenseman back and he's going to be on his ass at the red line. There's no freaking way. For sure. If you're going to beat him, you've got to outduel him in the offensive zone and you got to dump and chase well, extremely well. You got to flip it and then fight him in the corner, take that puck away. They're not going to give you an inch. You got to win battles everywhere because they are going to give you battles everywhere on the ice. You try to move out, you try to do short passes out of the D zone, they'll have a guy on you like fucking right there. It's man on man. And so like they're not playing the zone and waiting for you to come for them. They're anticipating where you're going to be and they be there. And they'll just smack you on. If they don't necessarily hit you, but they'll just be there. And then you got to fight for the puck. And they'll push it back and make you do it again and make you do it again. Then they go in the offensive zone. They carry possession, shoot from everywhere, and they shoot so they can still gain possession. They shoot on purpose to gain possession. So if they don't score, it will go into a corner. The defenseman will anticipate the play while the guy is shooting it and be ready to go to be there before you get there. That's what they do. And I want to see St. Louis break this. If there's a coach out there that can do it, that I have ever seen, St. Louis might be the guy. And if he finds a way to do it, I'll be fucking, like I said, I was talking to Andrew McGinnis today. And I said, if he finds a way to break that Carolina system with them having full energy with this lineup, I will put a statue of, I will build a statue or get a statue built of St. Louis on my front yard, and I will bow down to him Muslim style at the same prayer times. I will do that. That's what I will do because I would be blown away. Anyways, getting back to this, we'll look at the defense. The defense is actually really good. I mean, I don't even need to show you. Let's see, what do we got? Matheson and Carrier. Matheson, I mean, if you want to talk about a guy that you just can't help but love because he gets so much out of what he has. And the funny thing is when he was in Pittsburgh, I think before, was it Carolina he was before? And then he went to Pittsburgh. There was a lot of talk that this guy would never make it. And he adjusted his game a lot. Now, that being said, he's not a number one defenseman. He does play against elite competition. I suppose you could play him number one if you wouldn't have to play him as much as you do against top lines. And Montreal plays him against the toughest competition out there. No doubt about it. And he plays above his head. I mean, he gets wrecked in some ways there, but he does the best he can. Put him down. I would say he's more of a top 2 LD than he is a number one. He gets paid like it too, 6 times 6. You know, that's probably what he does. But he does the best he can with what he has. And it's what they have. That's the thing, what I'm saying here. I mean, you don't play Mike Matheson up there on top LD like you do. I know Lane Hutson's the guy that's going to be doing this. I'm surprised he's not even doing it more, to tell you the honest truth. But St. Louis really likes his star players to build into top competition. And I imagine Mike Matheson's not going to be the guy that's in top competition next year. He's not going to be playing this. It's going to be Lane Hudson. But Alex Carrier, very good second pair defenseman. Very good. He's average. He's an average second pair, but he's good defensively. I thought it was a beautiful pickup by him. I'd buy Montreal in general. Like how they built this team in such a short time has been absolutely phenomenal. And this one, I can't remember where they got him from, Carrier. But I remember when they made the deal, I was like, what? I think it was Nashville. That's who it was. It was Nashville. I think they gave up a second. I was like, really? What's Nashville doing here? He's only 20. Like, that was a beautiful pickup. I couldn't believe they gave up on him. And then they got like Brady Shea instead. And I'm like, Shea's not even as good as Carrier. It was a fantastic pickup by them. Again, he's not a top pair, though. He's not a top pair. Usually he plays against lower competition, though. So, and he kind of moves up and down the lineup depending on who they're playing and what he needs out of certain players. That's what I love about him. I love about St. Louis is he says, you take what the game gives you. In other words, you roll with the game. You find your spots, and he doesn't like, he's not married to any lineup. He's willing for that lineup to move. To tell you the honest truth, as far as systems are concerned, I can't put my finger on what defensive system that he plays. St. Louis plays. I can't. It's probably the most hybrid thing I've seen. It's a very reactionary way of playing, but it's effective. I can't like it. I think you could be seeing a super genius here is what I'm trying to say somewhere down the road. Like St. Louis, eventually people are going to be analyzing what he does because he does things that no other coach I've seen does. He does it. He does not do anything by a book. He's got his way, and he played like that too, by the way. He played that way. So it makes sense. I'm like totally impressed with him. I love the guy. I'm fascinated with the guy. And then Lane Hudson. People are saying Lane Hudson is like the best player or top 5 player in the league. And I'm not going to go that far because he, again, has been used against lower competition a lot. They use Matheson against the elite, and Lane is used against lower lines more. But what I will say is at 21 years old, what he does now is like he's going to be elite. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be at least one Norris in his future. He's incredible. For 21 years old to have to improve as much as he has defensively in like 1 year, 2 years. For a 21-year-old is you just don't see that for a defenseman for somebody to improve as much as this kid has. So his ceiling is God knows what. I don't know. He's incredible. Like in the future of this franchise is going to be amazing. There's no doubt about that. I'm more or less just looking what they are now. Noah Dobson. I mean, I supported Dobson quite a bit when he was on the island. I thought he got a bad rap there. But it has been a tough year for him defensively this year, and I can't put my finger on why. He had the same competition level last year. He had, if you look here, look at the spike. Last year, that was when he was on the island playing top pair. He was great. Eye test wise, he didn't look great all the time, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that the Islanders played like Watt's system, I do believe he played a system that was the only way the Islanders were going to succeed. But it's very hard for your defenseman because it allows a lot of 2-on-1s. And also, they had a lot of players that didn't know what they were doing in the neutral zone. It drove Patrick Waugh crazy, and it drives defensemen crazy. So what your average fan sees is Noah Dobson on it. He was not good on 2-on-1s. He needed to work on it. He wasn't good at it. But I had Islanders fans sending me videos, like clips, of Noah Dobson and how bad he was on 2-on-1s. And this was a justification that he was a bad defenseman. And at first I thought a bunch of people were sending me the same one. But then I realized it was like, I don't have that many followers. How am I getting all these? It was from the same people, and they were different 2-on-1s. And I was like, why is this guy playing so many 2-on-1s? Why is this? You should not go through a season and have like 15. Yeah, he does play half the game, Don, but he does so in a way. Good comment. He does. You can play half the game and still be play against controlled lines. You can play half the game and still play against controlled lines. Matheson, I don't know. I think he plays like 20 minutes, but they have put him up against the toughest competition on the ice constantly. It's something that, people, oh, look, he plays 30 minutes a night. He must play top comp. Then another good example of that is in Carolina, Gosh Despear. Gosh Despear plays not many less minutes than some of their top players, but he plays lower competition. The coach tries to put them out there against weaker lines as much as possible. And that's what they do with Hudson as well. But he's getting more and more responsibility as I go. It's a great way to build the confidence of a young player as he moves up. Like, I don't care how good you are. You play against top comp right away, it can crush your spirit. Like, if it can crush your spirit. So he's building them up like that. Dobson, on the other hand, he's played against extremely tough competition. I can't remember if on the island if he did or not. I think he had to. But for some reason, defensively, he slipped a lot this year. Still very good. He's also only 25 years old. He's shown capable of being a shutdown guy. If he gets back to what he was before, I mean, you're looking at a beast defense here down the road. No doubt about it. What do we got? Caden Goulet. I love this guy. I think he's going to be he's a good second pair. And eventually will be your top shutdown guy. I think eventually he's going to take. Yeah, he's already playing top comp, and he's playing above average, and he's only 23 years old. Like, the defense is looking in the future to be fantastic. The whole lineup is. It's just they need some depth, as these older guys start to fall off. Bring in your Hayes and guys like that, and maybe get some veterans that are good 3-zone defense players. And this, who knows, they could win 3 cups in a row, this team down the road. The only weak link that they have, and that'll probably be what's that kid's name? That German guy, German defenseman. How come he's not anywhere here? Reinbacher. He'll probably next year, maybe Reinbacher will start moving in because Jack Guy is not a good defenseman. I'm sorry, guys. He's not. I know he's got physicality and all that stuff like that, but I mean, he's just poopy. He's got a lot of heart, and he does. They put Jack Guy out when you've got like the Demidov line out, or a line, or even up again with Suzuki and stuff like that. And basically every player knows that when Jack Eye's on the ice, you're not flying the zone. That you got to get down there and get the puck off that dude's stick. Yeah, he's going to beat people up down there, and he's there to, soften up the other side. But I mean, a good defenseman, he's not. He's not. Just not very good. He's got serious limitations that have to be taken care of by using forwards or another defense partner who's got to work extra hard with them. So it's a little bit of a weak link, but the puck dies on Arbor's stick. Yeah, exactly. That's for sure. Yes, he was a beat. He was very good in the Island. And I had this argument with Islanders fans over and over again. Like I said, I didn't finish that story. They kept on sending me these 2-on-1s that he wasn't very good at. And he's not very good 1-on-1 either. There's a lot of defensemen that are not very good 1-on-1. And not the most physical in the world, but are very good 5-on-5 defensive players. And that doesn't compute in a lot of people's heads, because defense is not just those things. It's when the puck gets on his stick, he's very good. He's in position a lot. It's just there's not much physicality when he's in that position sometimes. And I think on the Island, the more I watched, because the more I had heard people shitting on Dobson, and I'm looking at analytics and I go okay, what am I missing here? So what I started to do in the afternoon is I would watch Islanders games while I was capping, and I would just watch Dobson. One of the things I noticed with him is he was on the ice too much. He was getting cratered in the defensive zone. And a lot of times when they showed me these plays where he didn't get the man in the front, the guy was exhausted. He was on the ice for like 1:50. And if you look at the Islanders game last year, they were getting crushed in possession last year. And then Patrick Waugh had them a lot better this year in possession than last year. That's why Patrick Waugh had so much frustration last year, because he knew that he didn't have a great defense, and he didn't. He didn't have a great defense. I mean, Mayfield is Pulak. Pellich was great, but he's not a number one defenseman anymore. D'Angelo, I mean, limitations coming out of the yin-yang. He had big guys up front, so he tried to play an offensive possession game the best he could, and that's what you should do. And with that, you also have to have a neutral zone structure that he was trying to put in the year Dobson was in, and the players he had just couldn't get it. They were leaving people. They were giving up 2-on-1s all over the fucking place. I watched in the neutral zone, I don't know how many times, a defenseman coming up from the right side, and the forward and the winger went after the defenseman. That is like pee-wee shit you learn not to do. You never do that. Leaving the neutral zone completely open, and all the defenseman had to do was just shovel it over to the center, and he's coming at Dobson with another winger 2-on-1. And Dobson's like, holy fuck. And yeah, he wasn't very good at 2-on-1s to begin with. But when you got two guys coming full speed down at you, yeah. And yeah, he wasn't very good at 2-on-1s. I don't know if he's gotten better at it. He probably, the type of game he played in junior, he never had to play them, because he probably had the puck most of the time. Like a lot of defensemen, it takes defensemen time to adjust that are really good in junior and college, because they got to start learning things that they didn't have to do in junior and college because they were so good. And Dobson was one of those guys. He was probably not used to playing 2-on-1s, man. When he was playing, I don't know if it was college or what it was, he probably had his stick on the puck on his puck all the time. So these guys kept on sending me these 2-on-1s. And I thought at first it was kind of, well, this got to be the same 2-on-1. No. They sent me, I swear to God, like 30 times. Do you know who's the worst defenseman on a 2-on-1? The worst? The one that's not in the 2-on-1. That's the worst one. The guy that's not there back there taking care of the 2-on-1. Where's his defense partner in all of these 30 times you're showing me this? You're mad at Dobson because he's not good at 2-on-1s? At least he's there. Where's the defense? Shouldn't you be mad at the defense partner for not being part of the 2-on-1? He played in the queue. Okay, there's a good example. If he played in the queue, that's like the no D league, the queue. It's actually a no hitting league too. I don't think you're allowed to fight anymore there. It's they're getting less and less people drafting out of the queue because it takes them so long to adapt to the NHL game because the queue doesn't play an NHL game anymore. So there's a good example as to why. But anyways, I watched his overall positioning in all zones, his pinching, everything. I'm like, this is a smart defenseman, knows where he's supposed to be. For his age, that's good. That's not an easy thing to learn in such a short time. Physically, again, if he played in the queue, he probably never had to play physically. And now he's got to learn to play physically. And he probably never will be great physically. Probably never will. But overall, his game, it's like Bouchard is the same type of thing. Bouchard gets shit on all the time, and most of that has to do with how poorly the Oilers play through the neutral zone, like with their depth guys, and leave them stranded. You see they'll show you clips of Bouchard coughing up the puck, but they won't show you a clip of why that guy was on him so fast. Why was there nobody else around? I'll tell you why. Because nobody had their man in the neutral zone. And he looks up and he's like, fuck. Or he's supposed to skate the puck up, and he looks up and there's nobody to pass to. I played as a defenseman. I didn't play at this high of a league, but I played where there were coaches that taught you some structure. And when you look up and there's nobody to pass to and you got guys coming down on you, it fucking sucks, dude. You're like, so you got to skate the puck behind the net. Then you got to wait for everybody to come back. The Oilers aren't going to play that. They're not going to play like a 1-3-1 defensive system, slow out of the zone like the Dallas Stars do with Gullickson, which, by the way, I don't think is ever going to work, and he's probably going to get fired. Or who was that? Cronin in Anaheim tried to institute that in Anaheim, and it just doesn't work over the long haul. You saw it in Dallas with Minnesota; they're trying to do it. Buffalo does that quite a bit too, and you can easily, if you don't mix it up, it's pretty easy to put offense against it. You just got to make sure you just got to play a more aggressive offensive forward game, like Carolina Hurricanes would absolutely fucking destroy them if they kept on trying to do that against them. So, like he got left alone, and Dobson did too. I saw quite a bit. And finally, I don't know if he always wanted to go to Montreal or if he just got fed up hearing all the shit or what it was, but it was obvious he wanted to go to Montreal, and he overpriced himself on purpose to go there. And then he goes to Montreal, and I don't know. I'd have to look at his whole game. Honestly, I never took time just to watch Dobson, but yeah, he did not have. He regressed this year, and I don't see why that would be, except for the fact that he's just learning a new system all over again. And I don't even know what that system is, to tell the honest truth. I don't know what Montreal's system is. You played at Concordia Division 4. Right on. So, yeah, I mean, were you a defenseman? Like, you know what I'm talking about then when you have forwards that don't know what the fuck they're doing? Like, if you're really good, if you're guys like what Dobson was in the queue, or, you don't even care because you can skate it out of the zone past everybody because you're just so much better than everybody. You don't care. But when you get to the NHL, you can't do that. Very few can do that. Very few are like Quinn Hughes that can just pass the puck on a dime from from the goal, from halfway down the defensive zone over to the blue line. Like, Quinn Hughes' pass out of the zone is absolutely fucking insane. I love Makar. I have a hard time saying who the best defenseman in the league is. I more like to look at what like defensemen are best at. Makar to me is the most skilled defenseman in the league. How come I'm not watching the game, by the way? What the fuck am I doing? I didn't even realize it's 8 already. But I think Makar's the most skilled, but I don't know, the last 2 years, at least in the regular season anyways, he hasn't been the best like defensive defenseman or possession defenseman. No goals in the first already. I got over first period here. What's going on? He hasn't been the best possession defenseman. But like first pass out of the zone, it's either Bouchard or probably give it to Hughes. Like his passes are just fucking crazy. I mean, they're scary actually, and he hits them like consistently all the time. Like most coaches would be like, "Don't make that pass," and then after a while with Hughes, you go, "Okay, do whatever you want." Like you can do it, so do it. Just tell everybody, all the other defensemen, don't try doing that because you can't do that. Anyways, I want to watch the game. I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for coming in, everybody. It was a lot of fun talking to you. I'll be on at 10:30 Eastern to talk about the games for tomorrow. Have a great day. Okay, bye.